Norfolk is home to some of the most incredible night sky scenes in England. Although it may not match the kind of stuff you'd see in more northern countries, it's definitely something that's gone unnoticed for far too long. In this short film, I'll show you around some of the best places in East Anglia to see these wonders and how to go about photographing them.
So I've been doing night sky photography for about 10 years. I was given a Canon 550D camera about 10 years ago for Christmas, and it was mainly to take pictures of the weather. That's my trade. I'm a meteorologist, and so I thought, because I had this camera and I had a keen interest in the sky, there's some fantastic night sky across Norfolk with the fact that we don't have a lot of light pollution here. So I thought I would give that a go, and that kind of led into something that I still like to do even today.
The Norfolk skies are filled with loads of interesting scenes, like noctilucent clouds and the aurora. This here is a time-lapse of the aurora taken by James Rowley Hill in September 2016.
The 28th of February 2014, we had a fantastic aurora over Norfolk, and actually the aurora then was even visible by the naked eye. Setting the camera up down the road from my house and having my wife and my kid out there with me, actually seeing the aurora and seeing how bright it was on camera, that was probably my most favorite event.
The photography aspect is quite hard to get into. You really need to know your camera and have a lot of patience.
If you're going to take night sky photography, there's a couple of things you want to have in mind. One is you want to get in a place where you've got as little light pollution as possible. So along the North Norfolk coast, that tends to be a good place because you can look north. A lot of the things that you're looking for in night sky photography, like the aurora, noctilucent cloud, that sort of thing, are all things that are going to happen on the northern horizon. So getting up to the North Norfolk coast is a good spot. And also you might want to think about what might be in your foreground as well. And so there's some nice castles and churches around in Norfolk that are worth having a look at. So Castleacre and some of the churches in North Norfolk are my favorites.
When planning a trip, you need to take into consideration things like places to park a car and the weather, as they can severely disturb your shoot.
One of the biggest challenges I think for me when I started doing night sky photography was learning about how to focus the camera in the dark. And so that always tends to be the biggest challenge when you don't have a lot of light around, trying to get the camera pointed at something and focus it, or understanding where your infinity stop is on the camera and then backing it off of that.
Infinity focus is the focus point on your lens that's as far off in the distance as possible. Most cheaper lenses don't have markings for infinity focus, so you're going to have to achieve this manually. To do that, you want to point your camera at a bright star or lamppost in the distance, and you want to use your live view to zoom into that light source digitally. Once you've done that, all you need to do is turn your focus ring until it looks like it's in focus.
It's all about experience, particularly when things like the ISO that you want to be on and how long you want to leave the shutter open for. That'll vary depending on what you're taking pictures of. So I think it's one of those things that you only get better at by experience. The more you do it, the better your shots are going to be.
It is recommended that you invest in an intervalometer for your camera. This basically lets you release the camera shutter without having to touch your camera, which reduces camera shake. This also lets you take lots of images automatically if you're up at night, meaning you can create cinematic time lapses or star trails. You can also use your camera's inbuilt timer feature, which lets you release the shutter after a certain time, reducing camera shake.
The biggest tip about taking night sky photography is just being keen and getting out there and playing around with the camera settings and accepting that it isn't always going to end up giving you the greatest picture you've ever taken. So I think just being keen and being interested in learning all about the camera that you have and that sort of thing is probably my biggest tip. Otherwise, it's just about having fun and making sure that you realize that your pictures may not be professional, but they capture an experience that you've had.
Over the past 10 years, night sky photography has increased by a huge amount, and more people are starting to join in. I'm hoping that this short documentary helped with some of the information that you might need whilst on a shoot in Norfolk. Remember, it's very dark and it can get quite cold, so remember to wear the appropriate clothing while on a shoot. When photographing in rural areas, be careful of any dangerous terrain and remember to bring a torch.